Hey there, comic book friends and fiends. It's Rob here for the Great Wall of Comics. Today, it's Thursday. It's another episode of Only My Slabs. Let's go! All right, so here we are, another dozen slabs from the PC. This is fun going back through some of these books that some of these older boxes. I'm getting to rediscover some of these books that I've forgotten about that are in the PC, which is great. And it gives me an opportunity to kind of go through them and decide which books might I want to move on from. Not only from a potential could I sell them, which I don't do a lot of, but more likely because Comics Curing Cancer is coming up in October, and it's always an opportunity for me and you actually to go through the collection and determine, hey, what do I want to move on from, and what could I potentially donate to Comics Curing Cancer to help raise money for the American Cancer Society. That big event is coming up in October the 17th, 18th, and 19th. So I'm digging through this PC and I'm making those decisions. What are you going to donate? Let's take a look at the first book here today as we delve into it. We're continuing on where we left off, and that's with Spider-Man. Last episode, we ended on Amazing Spider-Man 25, volume number 4, where Doc Ock was becoming the superior octopus, and we pick right there up again with another variant of that same book, Amazing Spider-Man 25, but this one, a J. Scott Campbell. I love me some J. Scott Campbell, especially when he draws the ladies, and more importantly, when he draws my favorite, Mary Jane Watson. Here he is, he's drawing the Trinity, the Holy Trinity of Spider Gals, and Gwen Stacy, Felicia Hardy, and Mary Jane Watson, and we get them right here beautifully spread out on this web, capturing them all. This is, of course, the cover D, which is, he does oftentimes with a lot of these covers, he'll do different variations where he can do one drawing, color it differently, probably digitally, and make even more money, but hey, whatever. We're suckers for it. This is the rarest of them at like 1,250 copies available, but you can see on the backside a J. Scott Campbell store exclusive where we had we had the Spider-Gwen in Black Cat costume and then MJ in the Spider-Man costume. We had some regular civilian clothes, and then we get this cover C here that we got on front here. Banger. Certified banger. Oh. MJ, baby. MJ. Next up from Unknown Comics, this was a win. I actually got this. I can't remember the contest. I just remember I didn't pay for this book. I got it for free. And this is Amazing Spider-Man 796. This is a second printing, virgin variant. We've got, this is as we're culminating the end of the volume 4 or 5 run. I don't even remember. I can't remember what run it was. This is right before Nick Spencer's run, but this is, we get that as we're building up here with Osborn and the Carnage symbiote, and here we are. Beautiful cover. That's why I think I've held on to it. I mean, it's not necessarily a valuable book, but it's a very cool cover. Next book up, Del Auto Magic. This is a comic exposure variant. Now, I'm going to take a second here. I'm not saying that they're a bad company. What I'm just going to share is my personal experience with comic exposure. Ordering for comic exposure was a challenge in that orders were placed, books were not delivered for months and months and months. Email attempts to understand what was going on with the books uh, were unanswered. Attempts to call them went to voicemail box, but the voicemail box was full. You start looking and find out the Better Business Bureau information about them, and find out that they had at the time an F rating, and just realized that at that point I assumed that I would never see my books. They were not a good, they had no good record whatsoever. There were even multiple Facebook pages, groups dedicated to exposing them for not being legit or whatever. Now, having said that, I did eventually receive everything I ever ordered from them. I was never shorted or stiffed. Just horrific experience from a purchaser and having to wait forever and whatever else. So that's my comic exposure experience. Now, the cover, banger, Del Auto, greatness. Look at that. We got Green Goblin chasing Spider-Man, baby, phenomenal. I'm sorry for that rant. They triggered me for some reason. Let's get back into something that also triggers me, but in a different way, and that's more J. Scott Campbell. Woo! ASM 800. This is that end of that run, that volume, right before we get that Nick Spencer run. J. Scott Campbell released a whole slew of covers on this one. I did eventually go back and pick up some cover B and cover F there, the MJ and the Gwen Stacy covers, but this one, I somehow ended up with 3 copies at one point of this book. Oof. By a mistaken order, and I ended up giving 1 copy to my LCS store manager and kept the other 2 for myself. This is a double thick book, difficult to get super clean. They have some minor bindery issues at the corners, as is common on these double thick books with Marvel, as the cover paper is not all that great anymore. But even CGC will overlook those and give them a 9.8. Now, this is a PGX 9.8, so I'm just saying that because some people go, see, that's only gets a 9.8 because it's PGX. Not true. I have many CGC books, the double thick issues where they have splits at the top and bottom of the cover, and it's considered a production issue and does not count against it as far as getting a 9.8, but it will prevent it from getting a 9.9. Anyways, J. Scott Campbell, look at that. That's a beautiful cover. I love it. Banger. I was using PGX for a while here because in early days of my collecting, I didn't have a big issue with them, and I still don't really have a big issue with PGX. It's mostly just the fact that reselling anything PGX, I might as well just crack it out of the slab because it sells better for more, not in the slab than it does in the slab. But the slab does protect it. They are one of the least expensive grading companies by far, and that's why I was using them. And oof, look at that. Oh, be still my heart. As we know, I've already said MJ, I love J. Scott Campbell, his version of MJ. I love. What's not to love about this book? She's got legs, and she knows how to use them. Oh, baby. I don't know what to do. Big Red, what you gonna do? Again, multiple variations of similar poses for different characters. There was even a Miles and Gwen one, which actually would sell for quite a while. I ended up with a copy at one point, and I ended up flipping it because it sold for so much. It was like $200 at the time I sold it raw. I was like, oh, done. But this is my favorite because I am an MJ fan. And those little red, low top Converse. Oh, yeah. I gotta put this one down because I'll sit here and just stare at it the whole episode, and you guys will be like, man, that guy is a creep. How about some Peach Momoko? Peach Momoko issue Spider-Man 46. Now Peach, super big. At this time, this was, I think, just before she got signed with Marvel, I think. So we didn't have a ton of covers for her on the Marvel books necessarily, but she was all over the place. Or I guess she was doing a bunch of stuff on Venom. Uh, Peach, I think I love her style for the most part. I do understand that there was some fatigue there for a while before she got her big signing with Marvel, because she was taking everything that she got offered and was cranking out covers as the it girl at the time and making the money where she could. And I don't blame her as an artist for doing that whatsoever, but it did cause a little bit of fatigue on Peach for a while for some people. So that's why I think people think she's kind of hit and miss. This cover, I like it for the most part, although infamously known as the spiderweb coming out the ass cover. Spider-Man now has a spinneret, just like a real spider, and from his thorax. Spider-Man has a thorax. More Del Auto greatness. This one, whoo-wee. Look at that. What's not to love about Del Auto's work? I don't know. He is a modern master, or at least coming close to it. All these spiders and Spider-Man coming, sitting up on the building, look down on the city. We've got that beautiful logo variant label. This means to me that I bought this one already graded. I obviously didn't do this because I wouldn't have sent this book in and paid for that label at all, but I do like the way it looks. It looks good. I will admit that I'm just not a fan of spending the extra $5 for the label. This is a double thick book as well. This is Spider-Man 850 is the legacy number. Part of the Spider-Man run, double dipping on the numbers using both the legacy and the volume numbers back to back, because they do like issue 850, like that one on issue 49, and then the next issue would be another double banger in anniversary number 50. Silly stuff. All right, what we got? Oh, look at this cover. Woo. This is a Kirkham cover. This has got, look at that. We've got most of the Sinister Six, plus Venom and Green Goblin. 5 of the 6 Sinister Six. No Kraven the Hunter here, but just an awesome cover. Great amount of characters on a squeeze them all in there. So you got 9 characters squeezed into a single cover. This is Renew Your Vows, Volume 2. Absolutely love Renew Your Vows as a story. It was one of my favorite go-tos. Pick up the trade paperback, whatever. If you're a Peter and MJ together guy, then this is a great story. I loved it. Of course, this is a KRS exclusive. KRS Comix, one of my favorite online retailers, in that they, at least for a while, they would have a lot of really good variants. I've not been as thrilled with some of their variants lately, which is probably the only why they've slipped, or maybe I'm not as much of a variant guy as I used to be. But regardless, customer service off the scales. Every time I've ever had an issue, I reached out, got a quick response, quick resolution, a resolution that I thought was fair and was in my favor as a customer. Thrilled with them every single time. So there you go. One good story, one bad story. I'm fair and I'm balanced. Of course, those represent my personal experiences and may not necessarily reflect your own, and are not an endorsement of either company that I've talked about. Another J. Scott Campbell, that same Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, volume number 2, issue number 1. This cover I absolutely adore, because here we got the family in their costumes. We get little Annie Mae in her spinneret outfit, which this is part of what I really loved about this whole run, and I totally think that if you haven't read it, go pick it up. Here we have a PGX 9.9 grade on this book. Here, let's not overskip the fact that it's a 9.9. One of 2 9.9s we're going to show here in this episode today. And again, variant covers. This is the cover A, and my favorite of the 3. I'm not too much of a fan of those other ones, but hey, banger. J. Scott Campbell killing it again. J. Scott Campbell store exclusive. Woo. We get away from the Amazing Spider-Man books now, and we go back into some other runs. This one is a book from my wife's personal collection. I know people hear that and they go, "What do you mean? Your wife collects comics? How come we never see or hear about that?" She used to collect comics. She doesn't really collect comics today. But when we got married, she brought long boxes into the marriage. I had none at that time. And this is a book out of her PC that I sent in and had graded for her. And this is one of her favorites, and a favorite of many because of the characters, not necessarily because of the cover. And that's Avengers Annual number 10. We have our first appearance of Rogue in this book, but a cover that is busy beyond belief. Holy Toledo. There's a lot going on there, and if you take this book to have it signed, they're going to sign across the Avengers trade dress, because that's really about the only place there is to sign on this. It is crazy busy. Like I said, it's from my wife's personal collection. A lot of the books, when I finally got around to going through her books, were in there raw without bags and boards or stuff, or were sometimes they were bagged but no board. It's some of the books not in the greatest of condition. Last two books here, guys. Here's the next 9-9. Now, this book is graded by a company called EGS, Expert Grading Services. I've done some videos about EGS in the past. I've got nothing wrong with him. It's pretty much a one-man show. He grades very much by the Overstreet guide. And what's great about, in my opinion, the best thing about EGS is that EGS allows you, or when they send you your book, you get a little COA, but it has the grader's notes on it for every book. Even a book like this, where it's, oops, upside down, it's a 9-9. I still have grader's notes on here that say that there's a slight scuff at the bottom left corner, which is what prevents it from being a perfect 10. Because everything has a flaw, is noted, and but this is the Axelena. This is a customer appreciation variant for IRF Authentics. We have ourselves a Ian Scott Nichols story cover and art. This is customer appreciation exclusive and an homage, of course, to Thor 337. Customer appreciation variant. I think this was limited to like maybe 25 issues or something like that. I can't remember exactly. If I can find it, I'll put the information up. But so extremely limited, and not even all the customers who got appreciated on the back were able to get a copy. But there I am at Robs.fatstax of Comix, and of course also we see our friends in there like Empty Thought Balloon Worlds, and the size of your appearance on the back had something to do with the size of your or I don't know, how much money you spent. I think probably had something to do with how many different size you were. But some of the artists there, Comic Carl, I know, is a big artist that does work with them a lot of times, getting a little shout out action. So 9.9 EGS. EGS also lets you customize these labels. You don't have to have the standard yellows and blues. You can do all kinds of custom designs with those labels and have it match your thing. It's a nice, interesting alternative, and I wish them nothing but the best. All right, last book. This is a book I won from Doc, Man Cave Comics, a frequenter on Only Slabs, and he, in the early days, would bring a box of slabs with him, and when we did a giveaway from our giveaway bin, he would give away a slab. And a couple times he had Chris and I pull books, and he gave books to us. And this is a book I got from him, and I love it because of the subject matter, or at least half the subject matter. This is Black Magic issue 44. This is a Hitler cover. Not the reason I'm a big into it. I'm not a Hitler cover guy, although that is a big thing for a lot of collectors to collect Hitler covers. But for me, it's the flying saucer, the spacemen, the bubble helmets, the ray guns. Now you put that together along with Hitler, and that's just makes it for a weird, kooky cover that I'm saying, yeah, I'm going to put that in my PC, especially when it was free. So happy to have this Black Magic. Thank you so much, Doc. for this book. Yeah. Now, that's going to do it for this episode of Only My Slabs. We're going to do that whole thing and say, hey, why don't you give it a like? Why don't you subscribe? Hit the notification bell, all that other stuff. But what's most important is that you collect what you want and don't listen to anyone, including me. I'm just a fat man with a fat stack of comics and a fat opinion. Thanks for watching.